Hi all, myself Rahul Sahu from Government Engineering College Raipur, and here we are at the heat and mass transfer lab of the mechanical engineering department. So today we are going to discuss heat transfer coefficient in case of natural convection. We already have seen heat transfer coefficient for the forced convection. So here is the equipment to determine the heat transfer coefficient in case of natural convection. So just briefly discuss about the equipment and its part and how to note down the readings, and after that we will move on to the calculation part. So first one, as you can see, is the switch on off key for the whole equipment. Second one is the voltmeter to measure the voltage supply. So at present here it is showing 179 volt. Third one is the ammeter to show the current supply, and at present it is showing 0.5 ammeter, 0.5 or 0.6 ampere for the present case. And this is the dimmer state to vary the power supply to the heater. So basically by rotating this dimmer state, we will change the power supply to the heater inside the rod. And here it is the digital display of the thermocouple placed inside this steel tube. So as you already aware that there are two types of convection: forced convection and free convection. In case of forced convection, the heat transfer took place by the external motion of the fluid. That means there will be some source to provide the speed of the fluid. There will be some external source like fan or blower, which will increase the speed of the flow and thereby increases the heat transfer rate. But in case of natural convection, there will be no any external source to provide the speed of the fluid. So how the motion of the fluid occurs in case of natural convection? Obviously the name suggests by natural means. As you already seen in your refrigerator, in the upper portion there will be freezer, which is the coldest part of the refrigerator. So the air that is in contact with the upper part or the topmost part of the fridge will be cold, and as it cool down, its density increases, and then it will go down to the bottom, since its density increases, and the air which is in contact or which is at the bottom part of the refrigerator is at the higher temperature as compared to the top part. That means the bottommost part of the bottommost air of the refrigerator is at lower density as compared to the upper portion. That means a natural flow of the air takes place from top portion of the refrigerator to the bottom of the cooled fluid, and from the bottommost part to the top part of the heated fluid. That is natural convection. There is no any external force, only due to the temperature difference, density difference created, and Due to the buoyancy effect, the natural circulation of fluid occurs. Here in this equipment, as you can see, there is an steel rod which is placed under a cubical box type enclosure, which is open at the top and at the bottom. So, the whole enclosure is open at the top and bottommost part and covered all along, covered from all the sides. So, this is a plastic cover, transparent plastic cover, so that you can view the steel tube. So, this steel tube is a hollow tube. This steel tube is having inside diameter of approximately 38 mm and outside diameter of 44 mm, and inside this tube and inside this steel tube there is a nichrome type of heater which heated the steel tube. So, by increasing the temperature of the steel tube, its outer temperature increases and the air at the air which is at contact with the steel tube gets heated and temperature increases. As temperature increases, density of the air or the fluid decreases, and as density decreases, obviously due to buoyancy effect, the flow of fluid occurs. So, in case of natural convection, there is no any external power, external source of motion or flow, fan or blower. There is nothing like that. So, as I already depicted, this is steel tube and there is an heater inside the steel tube. In the whole steel tube, there are 7 thermocouples placed along its length. There are 7 thermocouples placed along its vertical length, 1, 2, 3 and up to 7, and one thermocouple is hanging in the air to measure the ambient temperature inside the box. So, in the whole there will be 8 thermocouples. There will be 8 thermocouples in the whole system. 7 which is measuring the outer surface temperature of the steel tube, and 8th which is measuring the ambient air temperature inside the box. Okay. So, this is all about the equipment. What will the procedure to find out or to note down the temperature? First, we will switch on the power supply. Then, by the help of this dimmer state, we fix any voltage and current supply, and let the system comes to any steady state. Steady state, that means the temperature of all the thermocouples from 1 to 8, all thermocouples will be stable. That means, in the steady state, temperature readings of all the thermocouples will be approximately same with respect to time. Once the temperature of all the thermocouples comes to any fixed value, we note down all the temperature readings of the thermocouples. Like at present, this is showing temperature of the first thermocouple. That means, the topmost the bottommost part of the temperature of this steel tube is T1. At present it is showing 57 or 58 degrees Celsius. This is T2, second thermocouple of this steel tube, the second most. This is T3, T4, T5, T6, then T7. This is T7 is the topmost temperature of the steel tube, outer surface temperature of the steel tube, and this is T8. This is ambient air temperature inside this box. So, this is all about how we will take note down the temperature readings. So, this is voltage. So, this is voltage supply, this is current, these are various temperature readings, and this is our steel tube. Then we will move on to the how we will use this data to determine the heat transfer coefficient. So, let us look at the board. So, we already have seen how we are how we will take the temperature readings of our equipment. Now, we will look onto the how we are going to use this data to determine the heat transfer coefficient of the present case. So, this is our geometry. This is steel tube, hollow steel tube. I already mentioned you the inner and outer diameter. Inner diameter of 38 mm, outer diameter of 44 mm. And inside this hollow tube, there is a nichrome wire type of heater which heated the steel tube. There are 7 thermocouples placed on the surface of this tube, T1, 2, 3, 4 up to 7 thermocouples on the outer surface of the tube, and the eighth one will be placed hanging in the air to determine the ambient temperature of air inside the enclosure. So, mean surface temperature of steel tube, as we already note down, we already note down our data in the steady state, which is mean surface temperature of steel tube for our our present case, which I already note down all the steady state temperature. T1 74, T2 104, 111, T3 142, T4 133, T5, T6 132, T7 the topmost part temperature 106 divided by 2 plus 273 to convert the degree Celsius into Kelvin. So, it comes out to be 387.72 degree Kelvin. So, this is the mean surface temperature of our steel tube. Mean surface temperature, that means average of T1 to T7, outer surface temperature of the steel tube 387.72. Surrounding air temperature, the reading of our 8th thermocouple, which come out to be 52 degrees Celsius, or if we convert into Kelvin 325 0.15 degree Kelvin. So, it is the ambient air temperature inside the enclosure 325 Kelvin. For any convection or for any heat transfer numerical, we calculate the means air temperature for which all the properties values should be taken. So, in the present case, this is mean surface temperature of the steel tube, outer surface temperature of the steel tube, and this is the surrounding air temperature. And for the present case, the mean temperature of air for which the properties values should be taken is equal to the average of this and this. So, the properties of air should be taken at 320, so average of 387 plus 325 by 2. So, it comes out to be approximately 356. So, at this temperature we will evaluate or we will take all the properties of air. At 356 Kelvin, we will take all the property of fluid or air. So, at 356 our thermal conductivity of air come out to be 0.03 SI unit, Prandtl number come out to be 0.706, viscosity value 2.147 10 to the power minus 5 SI unit, density come out to be 0.98, mu 2.11 10 to the power minus 5 SI unit, Cp 1.0099 10 to the power 3 SI unit. So, at this temperature, all the properties of the air will be this. Okay. So, we have already note down the properties of air at this temperature. Now, we have to find out heat transfer coefficient. For this, first we have to calculate the volumetric coefficient of the thermal expansion beta, which is inverse of mean temperature. This. So, inverse of mean temperature, that means 1 by 356.43, which is approximately equal to 2.806 10 to the power minus 3 Kelvin inverse. No? So, this is value of beta, volumetric heat coefficient beta. Then why we are calculating beta? To find out the Grashof number. So, Grashof number is equal to L cube beta G, temperature difference divided by viscosity square. So, L is in the present case the length of the rod, this length of the rod. So, at the present case length is approximately 450 mm or 0.45 mm meter, 0.45 cube, beta is approximately 2.806 10 to the power minus 15, G is 9.81 and Ts is approximately 387, Ts A 325 divided by nu square, nu is what 2.147 10 to the power minus 5 square. So, by this we will calculate our Grashof number. So, Grashof number come out to be 337 10 to the power 6, since this is the unitless number. So, Grashof number come out to be 337 10 to the power 6. Then for natural convection, there is an Rayleigh number. Rayleigh number is the product of Grashof number into Prandtl number. So, Grashof number we already taken, Prandtl number of the air we already know 0.706. So, Rayleigh number come out to be 2.38 10 to the power 8, dimensionless quantity 2.38 10 to the power 8. So, based on the Rayleigh number, there are 3 empirical relations to find out the Nusselt number. So, based on this data, our empirical relation will be determined. So, for the present case, this empirical relation will be valid for our calculation, since it is more than 10 to the power 8. So, 0.13, Rayleigh number 2.38 10 to the power 8 to the power 1 by 3. So, by calculating, Nusselt number come out to be 80.56, dimensionless quantity. So, this is our Nusselt number, and once the Nusselt number has been calculated, we can easily find out heat transfer coefficient. This is 80.56, thermal conductivity of air 0.03, length 0.45, 450 mm of the length of the rod. So, heat transfer coefficient come out to be 5.417 watt meter square Kelvin. So, for the present case, the heat transfer coefficient is approximately 5.417 watt meter square Kelvin. Once the heat transfer coefficient came, we will easily calculate the heat transfer to the air, to the surrounding air. 5.417 by outer diameter of the steel tube, which is approximately 44 mm or 0.044 meter, length 0.45, surface temperature 387.872, ambient temperature 325. So, the heat transfer to the surrounding air come out to be approximately 20.885 watt. So, this is how we calculate the heat transfer coefficient for the natural convection. First, we note down all the temperature readings from 1 to 8th. Then we will calculate the mean temperature at which the properties value should be taken. Then we will calculate the thermal expansion coefficient. Then with the help of this all this data, we will calculate Grashof number. Then the product of Grashof number and Prandtl number is Rayleigh number, and based on the value of Rayleigh number, we will determine which of this empirical relation will be applicable for the present case, and for our case it is the third one. Then based on this empirical relation, we will calculate Nusselt number, and once the Nusselt number came, we will easily find out the heat transfer coefficient, and after that the heat transfer rate. So, this is how we calculate the heat transfer coefficient for the natural convection. Thank you.